Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is the Healthy Moving Podcast, the show all about helping you to exercise less, but move more so that you will feel better. I am your healthy moving enthusiast, Jen Hoffman of stayathomeyoga.com. Today, we're talking about one of our most limiting beliefs. Have you ever had one of these thoughts? I'll never change. Or maybe, I'd love to be more healthy, but change is so hard. Possibly you think, I'm stuck because of X, Y, or Z. I'll always have this body or this pain. If so, today's show is for you. Plus, I'm going to answer a great listener question about how to maintain healthy habits in the midst of life's busiest seasons. Let's get started. One of the biggest hurdles that we have to overcome when we're on this journey to improving our health and well-being is this belief that a lot of us have, that change is impossible, or we at least tend to think that change is extremely difficult. I want to help you banish that belief, so I'm going to share part of my story with you. When I was just 5 years old, I was riding my big wheel. You remember those, such a fun toy. I was riding mine down our driveway. My friend Amber, she was standing on the back, holding onto my shoulders. As we neared the end of the driveway and approached the road, I spotted it, a car. Actually, it was a Suburban, coming down the road. Amber saw it too. She jumped off the back immediately, but the less than stellar brakes of the big wheel were no match for the momentum that I had picked up on our driveway's downward incline. So, at just 5 years of age, I was run over by a car. It was a pretty gnarly injury. It was my left leg that went under the rear wheel of the Suburban. There were bone fractures at the impact point and then stress fractures further up the leg. Doctors were talking about the possibility that I was going to need skin grafts, which thankfully I was able to avoid. But nearly everyone who sees the scar on my ankle today assumes that I was in some kind of a fire. My entire left leg was in a cast for what felt like an eternity to my 5-year-old self. Now, this was over 30 years ago, and when the last cast came off, the doctor didn't even mention physical therapy or rehab of any kind. He simply released me and sent me off to learn to walk again on my own. Well, over the first 15 years that followed the accident, I routinely battled ankle issues, and I had a ton of pain. I've lost count of how many times I sprained that ankle. And every doctor and physical therapist I worked with, they all blamed the accident. They would say things like, well, that left side is always going to be weaker because of the trauma. And honestly, that seemed pretty logical to me. But then something pretty amazing happened in my early 20s. I began to discover that maybe it wasn't the accident that was the source of all my pain, but instead, it was the way that I learned to move and walk after the accident that was causing me this continual pain. So I've spent the last 15 years peeling back the layers, learning and unlearning, doing and undoing, building and rebuilding. And all of my progress, it's been nothing short of miraculous. Most people, even trained professionals, watching me move and walk around today, they'd never guess that I suffered such a serious injury. But here's the really amazing part. It's not like I've spent hours every day doing therapy and rehab. I've definitely spent time on my yoga mat, that's for sure. But I would attribute the vast majority of my progress to the things that I do as I live my life. Things like transitioning to minimal footwear, or learning about and improving my gait pattern, or sitting on the floor instead of on a couch or in a chair. We tell ourselves that change is hard. We lose hope because even when we work out like we're supposed to, we don't feel as good as we'd like to. And it really messes with our beliefs about change. But here's the thing. Change is possible. Everything is redeemable. You see, we mindlessly make hundreds of little decisions every day that shape our bodies. The power to change how we feel and, in turn, improve our health, it's in those little choices. We simply have to pay attention to harness that power. And guess what? This belief that change is hard, it's impacting more than your health. Begin to unravel it physically. Expose it for the lie that it is as you improve your health, and its power over you and over the rest of your life will melt away. Change is possible. If you want some help looking at those little decisions that you make every day that shape your body, head on over to stayathomeyoga.com/support. Our next coaching group begins in January, and the early bird pricing is available until December 31st. So check it out today. I think you'll really love the program. Okay, I'll be back in just a moment to answer a listener question and offer a little healthy moving inspiration for even your busiest days. Today's question comes from Marty in Texas. He said, I know this is an entirely unoriginal excuse, but when life gets busy, like during the holidays, any kind of moving or exercise routine I had just seems to get thrown out the window. Any tips? Marty, the fact that this is, as you say, an entirely unoriginal excuse is actually what makes this the perfect question. Everybody can relate. Here's why I think most of us have this problem. When we think of our movement as something that we have to do, like another item on the to-do list, we set ourselves up for failure when life gets busy, as it inevitably does for all of us. We need to start to make this distinction in our minds between exercise and movement. Exercise is something that you do in a set-aside time. But movement is something that happens all day long. It's how you use and position your body as you go about your day. You already are moving. I'm just asking you to be a little more intentional about that. This doesn't take any extra time, just extra awareness. It really is a paradigm shift that we're talking about here, and I know December is a really hectic time for everybody, so I'm sharing healthy moving tips over on Instagram and Facebook. They're just practical ideas for weaving healthy movement into the fabric of your day. You can check those out on the Healthy Moving Facebook page, or I'm at Healthy Moving on Instagram. I'll put links for both of those in the show notes for episode 3 at healthymovingpodcast.com as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this helpful, be sure to head over to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review. And you can find the show notes and links to join me for a free live movement class each month over at healthymovingpodcast.com. If you have a question you'd like me to answer on air, or maybe you want to give some feedback on the show, you can call me at 201-580-MOVE, or you can click the Leave Me a Message link in the show notes. And you can help me start a healthy moving revolution by telling your friends and family about the show. We have Facebook and Twitter links over on the site to make spreading the word a breeze for you. Until next week, friends, keep moving.